away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising. Do not take Xarelto if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. Before starting, tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures and any kidney or liver problems.
Learn all you can
to help protect yourself from a stroke.
Talk to your doctor about Xarelto.
All money managers might seem the same, but some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management.
Welcome to Atlantis, where unexpected moments become lifelong memories on an island called Paradise at a place called Atlantis.
Save up to 30% when you book by January 14th at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com.
The peak trading hours demand peak performance. At noon, Neil gives you powerful insight on Cavuto Coast to Coast. Then at 2, Charles's must-see market analysis is on making money. And at 3, Liz is the master of the final hour on Countdown to the closing bell.
Welcome back. You're watching the Fox Business Network. At least 8 Republican senators starting to peel away from President Trump in a push to end the shutdown and get the government reopened. So is this a crack in Republican unity? Have those cracks always been there? Is this a problem for President Trump and the party? We welcome RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel. I mean, these are some pretty high-flying senators there. What's your take? Is there unity in the party right now?
Well, the party's completely united about our need to secure our border. We recognize there is a crisis at the border. Asylum claims are up 1,700%. Over the past 8 years, we have 2,000 people a day trying to cross into our country illegally. We know that drugs are coming from our southern border. 90% of the heroin's coming through the southern border. We have 300 heroin deaths a week. So Republicans know this. They are united behind our president. And I will tell you, not just the senators, and I was at that Senate policy lunch yesterday when the president spoke to them and our House members, but our party, our grassroots, our voters across the country vehemently support this president and the stance that he is taking.
There's pain for federal workers. Paychecks may stop tomorrow. Border Patrol officers suing, the FDA halting food inspections, and more. Is the president and the Republicans worried about that? And we've got nearly 3/4 of U.S. workers, federal workers, living paycheck to paycheck.
Well, of course, everyone feels for these workers, and we do not want to see them have to go without their paychecks. We understand the burden that that puts on a family, and that is why Democrats need to come to the table. Everything the president is proposing is common sense. The proposals have come from the ICE and CBP agents who are on the front lines of our border. He is talking about a barrier, helping with the humanitarian crisis, things that Democrats have supported time and time again. Chuck Schumer voted 4 times for a barrier. And now, because it's President Trump, they're saying no deal on anything, we're walking away. It's just ridiculous, and it's purely partisan. There is compromise there. The president is willing to work with the Democrats, and they have rebuffed every effort. So they need to be held to the fire as to why they're not opening our government and working with our president and getting the job done on something that over 70% of Americans consider a problem, which is our immigration system that is completely broken.
We've got the media saying in the D.C., New York media beltway saying the president is, quote, unfit for office. Your take on that?
Well, I just laugh at that, because let's look at what's happened under President Trump in the past 2 years with the tax cuts and the deregulation. You have seen our economy boost. You've seen 4 million jobs. You've seen wages increase to 3.2%, the highest in decades. You've seen him take on ISIS, fund our national military. On issue after issue, judicially, the things that he has done, the president has delivered. Our economy is doing well. Our country is booming. We saw the great jobs report in December with 12,000 jobs added. I just don't understand where Democrats are coming from. They have never accepted the results and the will of the American people in 2016 when they elected President Trump. And from day one, they have made it a mission to not work with him. And now with this new Congress, they are going to make it a mission to investigate and obstruct and do everything they can to prevent him from doing the good things he's already done for the American people.
Switching gears quickly, Michael Cohen is set to testify before Congress next month. You guys worried about that?
Well, Michael's already been convicted of criminal activity that he had in his personal life with tax evasion and other things he did with his personal businesses. He has proven himself to be somebody who is dishonest. He has lied over and over again, and he's desperate. I do not think he has any credibility, and I do not think the American people will take anything he says seriously based on his past and his lack of character.
Ronna McDaniel, great to see you. Come back soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, President Trump is not the only president saying there's a border crisis or politicians saying that. President Obama said it, Nancy Pelosi said it, and more. That's coming up. We take it on. Plus, largely forgotten in this debate, the angel moms and dads. Families who have lost children to criminal illegal aliens. Coming up, we're going to put a DACA Dreamer recipient on the show to talk about that as you're looking at what's going on at the border as individuals continue to walk to try to cross. Stay there. Don't go away.
We could go down this waterfall, honey. What do you think?
It's good. It's refreshing.
At Northwestern Mutual, this is what our version of financial planning looks like. Tomorrow's important, but she's only 7 once. Spend your life living. Find an advisor at northwesternmutual.com.
Moving. That's harder now because of psoriatic arthritis, but you're still moved by moments like this. Don't let psoriatic arthritis take them away. Taltz reduces joint pain and stiffness and helps stop the progression of joint damage. For people with moderate to severe psoriasis, 90% saw significant improvement. Taltz even gives you a chance at completely clear skin. Don't use if you're allergic to Taltz. Before starting, you should be checked for tuberculosis. Taltz may increase risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, symptoms, or received a vaccine or plan to. Inflammatory bowel disease can happen with Taltz, including worsening of symptoms. Serious allergic reactions can occur. For all the things that move you, ask your doctor about Taltz.
In just days, you could win the Publishers Clearinghouse $5,000 a week forever prize. Mercy. $5,000 a week for your life? Then after that, someone you choose gets $5 grand a week for their life. Hurry, enter at PCH.com, and February 28th, win forever.
Land Rover, above and beyond.
Do you have trouble understanding voices in noisy rooms? In restaurants, do you hear people at other tables but not the people at your table? Zvox, the company that pioneered soundbar home theaters, can help with VoiceBuds. FDA registered, virtually invisible hearing devices at a fraction of the cost of hearing aids. VoiceBuds use a dual microphone directional system to minimize background noises while clarifying the voices you want to hear. Plus, you can control VoiceBuds wirelessly with a smartphone app.
VoiceBuds, when I'm home with my family, watching TV, out at restaurants.
I put them on the directional mode so I can hear my husband.
Hearing devices with these features normally sell for $600 each or more, but VoiceBuds can amplify the conversations you want to hear for under $300. Try VoiceBuds risk-free for 2 months with our home trial. Just go to Amazon or VoiceBudsTV.com. Don't settle for garbled sound. Go to VoiceBudsTV.com or Amazon and search VoiceBuds to order.
You eat healthy, take statins, but still struggle to lower your LDL bad cholesterol. You also have heart disease and fear a heart attack or stroke could strike without warning, pulling you away from everything you love. Because with high LDL, your risk of a heart attack or stroke is real. Now you can reduce that risk with Repatha. Repatha plus a statin dramatically lowers your LDL bad cholesterol by 63% and is proven to significantly drop your risk of having a devastating heart attack or stroke.
Do not take Repatha if you are allergic to it. Repatha may cause serious allergic reactions. Signs include redness, severe rash or itching, swollen face, or trouble breathing. Most common side effects include runny nose, sore throat, common cold symptoms, flu or flu-like symptoms, back pain, high blood sugar, and redness, pain, or bruising at the injection site.
Don't let a heart attack or stroke come between you and everything you love. Tell your doctor you're ready to lower your LDL and reduce your risk for real with Repatha.
Pay no more than $5 per month with a Repatha copay card.
Welcome back to the show. Quick clarification. We just showed you a full screen of House Republicans who are peeling away from President Trump. We also have Republican senators who are saying reopen the government. So we're going to stay on that story for you. Just a quick clarification there. Now, let's take a look at what the polls are saying about the immigration debate. Look at this Fox News poll. It is from November. More than half oppose building the wall, nearly half favor it. Let's bring in Kentucky Congressman Andy Barr. Great to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Liz. Thanks a lot for having me.
Sure. What do you think of the poll numbers?
You know, I don't think the poll numbers matter as much as what the career professionals at the Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection are telling the American people and telling us. I think the reason why some Americans are confused about this issue or don't support common sense border security measures is because they hear politicians in Washington fail to level with them and not tell them what the real situation is on the southern border. It's a crisis. It is a crisis on the southern border. How is it not a crisis when last year 17,000 individuals with prior criminal convictions were stopped trying to cross into the southern border? 600 criminal migrants, confirmed criminal migrants, were part of the caravan that attempted to breach the southern border. 90% of the heroin that comes into
are the Angel families who have lost loved ones to criminal illegal crime. Watch.
Joshua went to school one day, and unbeknownst to me, a classmate asked him for a ride home. We found out at the trial that his intent was to murder Josh for his truck. He brutally beat him, crushed his face and voice box. He beat him in the head with a closet rod 4 times until it broke. He strangled him over and over again, tortured him. He tied him up like an animal, dropped him in a field, and set him on fire.
An illegal immigrant, intoxicated, hit him from behind, going probably 120 miles an hour.
All right, coming in as a DACA recipient, Hilario Yanez, great to see you, sir. Now, you support the president's border wall, is that correct?
That is correct, yes. I think the president has every right to ask for border security. It's his moral duty to do that, and that's what he signed up to be when he became president.
Tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah, so I am a DACA recipient. I came here in the United States when I was a year old. I grew up without a father. I grew up homeless. I grew up undocumented. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. But if it wasn't for my conservative values, which is faith, family, God, working hard, standing on your own 2 feet, I don't think I would be the man that I am today.
And you went to college, and now you're a tax-paying worker. Is that it?
I am a tax-paying worker. Sometimes I pay too many taxes, but that's a different problem.
That's probably why you're talking to us, because we're all about that too, covering it. We opened the segment with the montage of Angel families. I've been covering this story for about 2 years now, talking to Angel families. They feel like Democrats ignore them. We've had people on our show saying, you know what, illegal immigrant crime is lower than the rest of the population. We don't treat people and human beings like statistics or rounding errors. What is your take on illegal immigrant crime?
First of all, my heart goes out to those Angel families. I can't imagine, what it's like to lose a loved one and wake up every day not them not being there. I pray for them, and I pray for peace. As a man of God, my heart truly goes out to them, and that's part of the problem is that, the more we choose not to do anything, the more stories are we going to have, like family, or Angel families, more stories like families, who lose loved ones through the drugs coming down from the south of the border. And I think it's very important that we all unite together and we put a face to the problem, to the people that are really being affected by Congress' inability to do something. And I'm talking about the Dreamers, Border Patrol, Angel families, and I'm also talking about families that have lost loved ones through the drugs coming down, and also government workers. We can't forget about the government workers as well. They're not getting a paycheck as well.
Hilario, you're terrific. Thank you so much for coming on with your story. Come back soon, okay? Good luck to you, sir.
God bless. Thank you.
Coming up next, top Democrats declaring still there's no crisis at the border. But just 5 years ago, President Obama said that there was. So did Nancy Pelosi. So did other Democrats. We're going to take that on. And later in the show, the Pentagon reportedly letting nearly $28 billion in spending that it could have done just expire and go away. We're going to debate whether that money could be spent on the wall and border security. We're taking that debate on next. Stay there.
We didn't dream up a new way to find the best ramen. We never thought, you know what Mars needs? A dune buggy. We didn't decide you should be able to share your home with travelers from around the world. We didn't reimagine banking. Or whatever she's about to do. But when asked if these ideas were possible, we're the only cloud with the capabilities, experience, and know-how to make them happen. AWS is how.
Now you pick for $6 at Burger King. Choose either the $6 King Box with a flame-grilled Whopper, fries, a drink, and 2 cookies. Or choose from the 2 for $6 Mix or Match deal. Make your best pick for $6, only at Burger King.
I hear it in the background. She's watching it too, saying, and this is where... Here you go. See you next week. Yes.
I've never seen that before.
Shield annuities from Bright House Financial allow you to take advantage of growth opportunities with a level of protection in down markets, so you can be less concerned about your retirement savings. Talk with your advisor about Shield annuities from Bright House Financial, established by MetLife.
FoxBusiness.com, your portal to all the business information you need. Access all of our exclusive content, including shows, market news, tweets, live radio, and podcasts.
Hi, folks. I'm Matt McCoy. For people as experienced as you and me, careful driving just comes naturally. All that experience should be worth something, and it is. With the AARP Auto Insurance Program from The Hartford, switching saved me hundreds.
In fact, 4 out of 5 AARP members age 50 and over who switched to The Hartford from companies like Allstate, State Farm, and Geico got a lower rate with The Hartford.
With The Hartford, not only did I get a better policy and better coverage, but I got a better rate as well.
Of course, drivers 50 and over like to save money, but it's great when it comes with coverage and benefits designed for us. That's real value.
Call The Hartford for your free quote. Not an AARP member? The Hartford helps you join in minutes. Here's an insurance company that respects its customers enough to do the right thing. Like with new car replacement. If your new car's totaled in an accident, The Hartford will pay the full replacement cost for your car. That's pretty cool, huh?
Sometimes life happens, and when it does, it's important to know that the company you're doing business with has your back. The Hartford has my back.
They even prove their loyalty by offering lifetime renewability. That's The Hartford's promise not to drop you, even if you've had an accident.
It's a great feeling, and a very comfortable feeling to know that I'm not going to get dropped for that reason. I feel like I have a partner in The Hartford, and that I can trust them when and if I need them.
You could save hundreds of dollars when you switch and get other incredible benefits like new car replacement and lifetime renewability.
I would recommend The Hartford to friends, relatives, anybody.
And certainly when we needed them, they were right there for us. It was pretty impressive.
Call The Hartford at 1-800-418-9485 to request your free quote. That's 1-800-418-9485 or go to GoHartfordAuto.com.
Welcome back. Democrat Party leaders, much of the mainstream media arguing there is no crisis at the border. Here are just a few of those voices.
President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis.
Really, I believe, is a manufactured crisis.
With the administration calling the situation at the southern border a crisis. Well, that is debatable at best.
I've got to say, how stupid are Americans who still believe there's a crisis on the southern border?
Well, was President Obama, quote, stupid when he said just that in 2014? Watch.
We now have an actual humanitarian crisis on the border that only underscores the need to drop the politics and fix our immigration system once and for all.
Let's bring in Fox News political contributor Tammy Bruce. great to see you.
Great to be here.
So is Chuck Schumer stupid? Is Nancy Pelosi stupid? They both said there's a crisis at the border.
Are you setting me up here? I don't know how to answer
I'm setting you up. No,
Yes.
they have said it in the past. Democrats Louis Gutierrez said there's a crisis.
Sure.
Joaquin Castro, all of them. Are they all stupid?
No, I mean, I think they knew that there was a problem. They actually didn't expect anything to be done about it because, you know, they like chaos and victimhood. The problem they have now is that we have a president who will act. So now suddenly you've got, you saw Schumer and Pelosi the other night looking shocked and like they were hostages because they're finally being challenged by somebody who means business. So it's real now. I would also say when it comes to the crisis, we remember a few weeks ago, Democrats, all Americans, were shocked and outraged at the death of 2 children. And I would consider and suggest that children are still getting sick at the border. People are moving through. The Customs Border Patrol saying that they're moving through with illnesses that don't happen overnight, right? Tuberculosis, pneumonia, other issues that take time, the flu to develop. So these are people leaving home sick, getting sicker in the process. That's a crisis. Those individuals are dying. But when the Democrats realized that being concerned about dying children wasn't going to help them, they suddenly don't think it's a crisis anymore. We still think it's a crisis. It still needs to be resolved. And the American people, this is the other problem when they say things and the Democrats are finally heard, they say dumb things. Like it's not a crisis, when in fact, the American people, we have direct experience with the fact that it is.
All right, so the media and Democrats acknowledged the crisis under Obama. Now they're not.
Yes, they did.
Here's Obama's Border Patrol chief to President Trump saying, you know what? Hang fire, stand tall. This is a crisis. And so he is saying that, too. But, you know, so we have Beto O'Rourke saying, well, the numbers are coming down at the border. What's your take on that?
Oh, well, and you also had Acosta at a border wall saying there's no crisis here. It's because there was a wall where he was standing.
Right.
Look, there's been some efforts to build barriers. This is one of the things the president's talked about, where there are like 4 separate sections of barriers. Illegal traffic and sex trafficking has gone down 90% plus. So it has been mitigated. We want to do it across the board. It has to be done. We have to complete it.
But they're talking like miraculously these numbers came down of their own accord and own volition, right?
No, it didn't. And I think that's the important thing to discuss is the fact that some action's been taken. We know what works. We want to do more of that. And the fact is, though, the American people, we're not waiting for the news to tell us whether or not there's a crisis. We know about the drug crisis. We know about the illnesses. We know about crime. We know, the American people know, and we want it dealt with.
Always great to see you, Tammy Bruce. Thank you so much for coming on. Coming up, General Jack Keane. He makes the security case for the wall. We will be right back. Stay there.
Now may be the perfect time to enter the precious metals market. Monaco Rare Coins is proud to offer a deal sure to please coin collectors and investors alike. For a limited time, you can collect the American classic of silver dollars, the Morgan Silver Dollar, at an incredible discounted price. Morgan Silver Dollars have long been sought out for their affordability, availability, and their high liquidity. Collectors value having a choice uncirculated 100-year-old coin which carries historical significance, while investors love the diversification it brings to portfolios, along with the ease of private storage. This price won't last forever, and high demand to enter the precious metals markets, neither will the coins. So don't wait. Call Monaco to find out why America loves the Morgan Silver Dollar and claim yours now. Make an investment you can hold in the palm of your hand. Call Monaco now.
Welcome to Atlantis, where unexpected moments become lifelong memories on an island called Paradise at a place called Atlantis.
Save up to 30% when you book by January 14th at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com.
It was here. I couldn't catch my breath.
It was the last song of the night. Felt like my heart was skipping beats.
They said I had AFib.
What's AFib?
I knew that meant I was at a greater risk of stroke.
I needed answers.
My doctor and I chose Xarelto.
To help keep me protected from a stroke.
Once daily Xarelto, a latest generation blood thinner, significantly lowers the risk of stroke in people with AFib not caused by a heart valve problem. Warfarin interferes with at least 6 of your body's natural blood clotting factors. Xarelto is selective, targeting just one critical factor. For AFib patients well managed on warfarin, there is limited information on how Xarelto compares in reducing the risk of stroke. Don't stop taking Xarelto without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. Xarelto can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. It may increase your risk of bleeding if you take certain medicines. Get help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising. Do not take Xarelto if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. Before starting, tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures and any kidney or liver problems.
Learn all you can
to help protect yourself from a stroke.
Talk to your doctor about Xarelto.
Tired of waiting for it to kick in? For a rapid boost in nitric oxide, choose Ageless Male tonight.
The unmistakable Cadillac XT4. Once again, driving is joyful. Starting under $36,000.
Good, they're here. You can just leave them on the porch.
Help protect your packages with the ADT Video Doorbell. Package Protection Service. Brought to you by ADT.
In and around the green rooms in Fox, we have had multiple Border Patrol authorities here, and I have not encountered a single one who doesn't have strong views that some kind of barrier is absolutely essential to slow down the penetrators so they can actually apprehend them. And it's worked in San Diego, where it's reduced over 90% of those penetrations. It's a major deterrence. I think the president's motivated by one thing only, and that's to protect the sovereignty of this country.
That's General Jack Keane making the case that President Trump is motivated about protecting the country with border security and the wall. Madison and Nathan are back. Nathan, what did you think of the general's point there?
Well, I think first and foremost, like I said before, Democrats are not about border security. There are other ways to secure the border other than building a wall and seizing private property from landowners in Texas. That's the only way this wall is going to get built, through eminent domain, and that has a whole host of legal issues along with it.
That is an important point. I think 2/3 of it is owned by the private sector. You'd have to condemn it. That's a good point that Nathan just made. Madison, the general pointing out that the walls do drop illegal crossings by more than 90% in San Diego, in Texas, and Arizona. Your point there. What's your take?
Yeah, as I said to you earlier in the show, walls work. We've seen them work in our country. We've seen them work overseas in places like Israel. Crime drops dramatically. Terrorism, specifically in Israel, has dropped dramatically when they put fencing and walls up. They work. The country's at risk. We need to make sure we're protected. The president's motivation is securing the American people, making sure each and every one of us is safe. And again, it's not just about who, it's about what comes in and out of the country, making sure we're able to stop drugs from coming in and protect people. And that's what this is about.
Nathan, what do you think the Democrat reaction is going to be if the president declares it a national emergency?
I think it will be outrage, number one. But number two, I think people will be concerned for the precedent that it will set. I think any time a president, future president, no matter who it may be, doesn't get exactly what they want through Congress, this is setting the precedent that they can declare a national emergency to tackle that issue, and that is not in line with the Constitution.
Madison, to Nathan's point, we've had national emergencies over diamonds coming out of Sierra Leone, over swine flu. Bill Clinton used emergency waivers to do emergency spending to occupy and help out Haiti. That was called Occupy Haiti, and also sending and getting oil to North Korea. There has been precedent already in the past, Madison.
Right, and I understand his concern. We never want to set a precedent that isn't right and that we're just calling national emergencies for any reason at any time, and that's not what's happening here. And I would argue that's maybe happened in the past, but that's not happening today. This is an emergency. We need to make sure we're protected, again, specifically when we have enough drugs being seized on the border or potentially coming across our border to wipe out our population. That's a crisis. Madison Jessiato, Nathan Rubin, thank you so much, both of you, for coming on. I appreciate it. Come back soon. And thank you for having us in your homes, and thank you for watching. Lou Dobbs is next, right here on the Fox Business Network. Have a good evening.
Good evening, everybody. President Trump today at the Mexican border in McAllen, Texas, there to talk about the illegal immigration and border security crisis. And during his visit, the president making it clear once again the need for that wall, why construction on that wall must begin and begin immediately.
They come through the border and they go out throughout our nation. So you'll have crime in Iowa, you'll have crime in New Hampshire, you'll have crime in New York, you'll have crime in places, you know, you don't associate it with the border, but it comes through the border. All I can tell you is that I feel very badly for people that have family members that have been killed that should have never happened, okay? Those are the people I'm thinking most about. These people do the most incredible job. And they're not given a full hand because they need the barriers.
Need the barrier. And tonight we take up exactly why the Democratic Party is trying to subvert the Trump administration on the barrier, on the wall, while why in the world is Schumer and Pelosi refusing to support the president's wall, refusing to build the wall? Why the radical Dems continue resistance? Nancy Pelosi says no wall. Chuck Schumer says no wall. And oh yes, they want the president to lift the partial government shutdown. Mr. Trump is having none of it. Before leaving Washington, the president told the assembled mostly left-wing national media that the radical Dems aren't remotely serious about national security, about building that wall and securing our southern border. President Trump says he will declare a national emergency and build those barriers if the radical Dems don't yield to the national interest.
I would like to do the deal through Congress, and because it makes sense to do it through Congress, either we're going to win or make a compromise. I'm okay to making a compromise. Compromise is in my vocabulary very strongly. I have the absolute right to declare a national emergency. The lawyers have so advised me. I'm not prepared to do that, but if I have to, I will. The Democrats don't care about the border and they don't care about crime. They've been taken over by a group that's so far left, I really don't think they care about crime. And you know, sadly, they're viewing this as the beginning of the 2020 presidential race, and that's okay with me.
We take up the president's trip to the border, his resolve to end the national crisis along that border. The Dean of Republican Strategists, Ed Rollins, Congressman Andy Biggs, and Francis Rooney join us here tonight. Also, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo today declared a new age in U.S. Middle East relations. Secretary Pompeo telling an audience in Cairo that the Trump administration is reasserting itself as the regional leader after the Obama-era policy of apology.
When I was in grad school, it was about 10% were in that camp.
Yeah.
So how did it?
Well, we apologize for that. The red storm does continue to rise. Chinese President Xi Jinping hosting North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, suggesting Beijing may be determined to stop any deal between the U.S. and North Korea. We'll be joined by Asia expert Gordon Chang here tonight. Our top story, President Trump taking his call to build a wall or barrier along the U.S.-Mexican border to deal with the immigration and border security crisis. The president meeting with Border Patrol officers, lawmakers, and those who've lost loved ones at the hands of illegal immigrants. President Trump once again making it clear that without border security, we don't have a nation. And here with more now from the White House, Fox Business's Edward Lawrence.
Yeah, Lou, President Donald Trump right now on his way back here to Washington, D.C. He went to Texas to see for himself exactly what it looks like at the border, exactly the situation. He's arguing that we have to have a border wall as part of border security. The president in McAllen, Texas, wants voters to call their Democratic representatives and get them to negotiate with him, engage reopening the government, as well as funding the border wall.
As hard as we work and as well as we're doing nationwide on crime, a lot of it's caused by people that come in through the southern border. So, and you know, if we had the barrier, it wouldn't happen.
And Senator Lindsey Graham late tonight saying that it is time now, since the Democrats refuse to negotiate, to enact and say that the president needs to declare an emergency, saying this is a crisis. This is what the president keeps hearing from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Listen.
So I said to him, Mr. President, the evidence of what's happening there does not support the crisis that you describe,
and therefore the solution you suggest, because we have a better idea of how to keep our country safe, and it isn't a wall.
And House Democrats continue to pass bill after bill, today passing the Agriculture Appropriations Bill and a Transportation Bill, funding government agencies one at a time. Senator Ben Cardin, Democrat in the Senate, trying to get the Senate to vote on these bills. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell simply saying this is all just a waste of time.
There's a lot of important business the Senate could be tackling. We've typically done that during these government shutdowns. But the last thing we need to do right now is to trade pointless, absolutely pointless, show votes back and forth across the aisle.
And this is truly a stalemate with no end in sight unless someone breaks ranks or an emergency declaration is announced. Lou?
And there are no signs of anyone breaking rank. Edward Lawrence, thank you. About 60 miles from where President Trump was speaking today about the crime and the crisis along our southern border, nearly 24 bodies were found in what appears to be the result of a mass killing involving rival drug cartels there at the border. The bodies were found near burned-out trucks. Some of the bodies burned as well. The area has been a conduit for drug shipments into and out of the United States and has experienced some of the worst violence in Mexico's drug wars. The discovery comes as radical leftists like Beto O'Rourke claim the southern border is one of the safest places in the country. Wow. Well, our first guest tonight to talk about the president's efforts to secure our borders, to fix our broken immigration system. Joining us tonight, Congressman Francis Rooney, member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, also former U.S. ambassador to the Vatican. Congressman, great to have you with us. Let's start with the claims by the left, whether it's Schumer, whether it's Pelosi, whomever it may be, on the left, that there's no crisis on the border, that there is no problem because we've got 70,000 opioid deaths a year in this country, far more, as you know, than were killed than in the Vietnam War. How can these preposterous claims be made without response from the national left-wing media, without response, in some cases, from the Republican Party itself?
Yeah, we definitely have a problem here on many levels. And the fact that they're trying to wash it under the rug and say no wall is reflective of their kind of lack of reality. You know, as far back as the case of Chai Chien-ping in 1889, the Supreme Court said that a sovereign has the ability, as part of being a sovereign, to determine who goes in and out of their country. And we don't seem to want, the Democrats don't seem to want to do that. We have got to stop wanton, reckless, unpatrolled entry across our border.
And it's very clear, and the president alluded to this today at the border. This is a very simple thing. Pelosi and Schumer are simply denying the president the funding for the wall because they realize that that is the last major promise he has made to the voters that he has not fulfilled. And when he fulfills that, he will be a juggernaut in 2020, and that's what they're fighting, don't you think?
Well, I'll tell you, this president has done what he said he would do. I think it's refreshing to see a business guy come in from outside of politics and just do what he said he would do. And now we need to finish it off with this wall.
Well, finish it off with a wall, but Pelosi says it's not going to happen. Schumer says it's not going to happen. And it's obvious that they're playing presidential politics, trying to block this president on his last and fulfilling his last major promise to the voters of 2016. Don't you agree?
I do agree. I think that it shouldn't be about political posturing. It should be about protecting Americans and protecting our sovereignty and making our border impenetrable.
And I want to take up the Rio Grande sector, law enforcement there telling the president during his tour that there's a greater number of apprehensions here of late than in previous months. And already we're seeing a significant travel across that border by smugglers, drug smugglers, human smugglers. What is your sense of what the president can do here next? Should he continue to invite the Democrats over for tea, or should he just say, you know, it's time for a national declaration of emergency?
Well, I don't think I would want to be bluffing with President Trump, seeing the way he's operated so far. He may well get to the point where he tries it on and we find out if it'll stick or not. You know, you mentioned the Valley. I have great experience in the Valley. I've had a lot of business down there, and the disproportionate number of the crossings take place in the eastern part of the Rio Grande Valley. We really need to secure that area.
Yeah, we need to secure that area. As far as I can tell, looking across that whole run of 2,000 miles that make up the Mexican-U.S. border, we need to secure the whole thing. This idea of picking and choosing, I've never seen it work anywhere.
Right.
Because what happens is that they simply are diverted by whatever wall or barrier or fence, and it's time for everybody on both sides of that border to grow up, because there's corruption on both sides, and that corruption is what's keeping that border open, whether it's drug traffic, human smuggling, whether it's the cartels. This has got to stop.
Well, the countries of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador are not going to improve no matter what anybody tries to do in the near future. This crisis of caravans and migrants trying to get through Mexico to the United States is not going to stop. We have to defend our border.
Defend our border, indeed. And also you and Senator Ted Cruz, another a border state senator, if there ever were one, calling for term limits. You've got co-sponsors and moving ahead. It's an interesting idea, one whose time, I think most people right now would say it's an idea whose time has come.
Well, you know, 80% or more of all Americans, of all subsets, groups, identities, et cetera, say they want term limits. The only people who don't want term limits are the entrenched politicians in D.C. Maybe that's why people will give Congress an 11% approval rating.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. I can think of a host of others as well. Congressman, it's great to have you here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lou, for having me on.
You bet. Congressman Francis Rooney. Up next, the radical left sings the same old song about the president's push for a wall along our southern border. Listen in.
What he is proposing is not the best way for us to secure our borders.
This thing has become really a fiasco.
I really think it's reached a breaking point.
Are we going to spend billions of dollars for a wall or a fence when I can buy a $100 ladder and take care of that issue?
The crisis here is one that Donald Trump has made himself.
This is ridiculous and it's cruel, and it needs to end now.
I think we ought to be able to find a way to agree on an investment in modern border security technology that doesn't necessarily require our building a vanity project concrete wall in the desert.
Have you ever heard such just balderdash? We'll take that up and much more right after the break. Ed Rollins, our guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Trish Regan Primetime, where Washington and Wall Street meet. See how market moves and Beltway buzz impact your money. Trish Regan Primetime, only on FBN.
Building a better bank starts with looking at something old and saying, really? So Capital One is building something completely new. Capital One Cafes. Inviting places with people here to help you, not sell you. And savings and checking accounts with no fees or minimums, because that's how it should be. You can open one from right here or anywhere in 5 minutes. Seriously, 5 minutes. This is Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Each day, Justin chooses to walk. At work and after work. He does it all with Dr. Scholl's. Only Dr. Scholl's has massaging gel insoles that provide all-day comfort to keep him feeling more energized. Dr. Scholl's, born to move.
When my husband was diagnosed with mesothelioma, I didn't know where to turn for legal advice, but I needed someone who understood this devastating disease and could get the justice we deserved. I called the experienced attorneys at 1-800-LAW-FIRM. If you or someone you love was diagnosed with mesothelioma, contact 1-800-LAW-FIRM today. There's no obligation. Let them handle the justice so that you can concentrate on what truly matters.
It's tough to quit smoking cold turkey. So Chantix can help you quit slow turkey. Along with support, Chantix is proven to help you quit. With Chantix, you can keep smoking at first and ease into quitting. Chantix reduces the urge, so when the day arrives, you'll be more ready to kiss cigarettes goodbye. When you try to quit smoking, with or without Chantix, you may have nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Stop Chantix and get help right away if you have changes in behavior or thinking, aggression, hostility, depressed mood, suicidal thoughts or actions, seizures, new or worse heart or blood vessel problems, sleepwalking, or life-threatening allergic and skin reactions. Decrease alcohol use. Use caution driving or operating machinery. Tell your doctor if you've had mental health problems. The most common side effect is nausea. Quit smoking. Slow turkey. Talk to your doctor about Chantix.
I switched to Liberty Mutual because they let me customize my insurance. And as a fitness junkie, I customize everything, like my bike and my calves.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is a legal alert for users of Roundup Weed Killer. Roundup Weed Killer has been designated as a probable human carcinogen by the World Health Organization. And in July 2018, a judge determined that all federal lawsuits could move forward against Monsanto, the maker of Roundup Weed Killer, over concerns that those exposed to Roundup are at risk for developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And in a landmark $289 million verdict in August 2018, a jury concluded that Monsanto's Roundup Weed Killer and Ranger Pro herbicides contributed to a school groundskeeper's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Roundup Weed Killer is the most commonly used weed killer in American agriculture. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma after being exposed to Roundup or a glyphosate herbicide, you may be entitled to compensation. How do you fight for the compensation you deserve? You choose the right legal team that has the experience, support staff, and resources. Most compensation for your injuries. Call now.
Anti-Trump CNN contributor, some of those words I think are redundant, Ana Navarro, doesn't believe there's a crisis on our southern border. And here's how she responded as a pro-Trump commentator, Steve Cortes, was discussing that crisis.
Even if I were to grant you that, okay, the point is the illegal alien crime rate should be zero. It should be, you can do your nails. You know who can't do their nails? Are people who've been killed, Anna, by dangerous, known illegal aliens who've been allowed to stay in this country because of the leftist policies that people like you promote.
A tad smug, even by Navarro standards. Joining us tonight, former Reagan White House political director, Fox Business political analyst, Ed Rollins. Ed, good to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
We're hearing a lot of talk from the left about no crisis, that there aren't 70,000 opiate overdoses a year in this country, that Mexico isn't the source of methamphetamine, the majority of methamphetamine, marijuana, heroin, and cocaine. Into this country, that they are not the source of illegal. I mean, they have become deniers. I mean, they choose to call Republicans on the issue of climate change deniers. What are they other than deniers when it comes to the issue of border security and our illegal immigration and drug crisis on the border?
The whole Colombian drug crisis that was going on in the 80s is now all moved. It's now shut down, and they're all moved to Mexico. Everything that was being done down there is being done right on the border of Mexico. And if Nancy Pelosi would leave her district and go down to San Diego, she can see a very successful wall. The day she got elected to Congress, or the year she got elected to Congress.
She doesn't want to see anything.
Well, but they put that wall up there in San Diego. There were 700,000 people in 1987, more than a congressional district, that came across that border. They put that border wall up there, and it basically stopped it. So it's there. It's worked.
We know walls work. I mean, there's not even a question. Whether it's in Jordan or Israel or whether it's
San Diego, El Paso.
San Diego. The president now is nearing, it is clear, calling this a national emergency, declaring it, and it is. I don't think the Democrats have given him any choice. And by the way, I don't know what you think, but I can't imagine any further negotiation with people who have said hell no.
Well, he can't negotiate. They're not going to negotiate with him. She says it's an unholy to do something like this. It's immoral. Schumer, who was once voting for walls, now says he won't vote a penny. So what does Trump get out of this? At this point in time, Trump needs to do what he needs to do.
Well, and let's be clear. And you've seen a lot of dirty politics in your career. But these people are saying no, not because they don't care about the national security. They care about 2020. And if they can block this president from fulfilling his last significant campaign promise of 2016, he won't be as powerful. I still think he'll win 2020. But he would be a juggernaut if he can deliver on this promise as well.
Well, equally as important.
And they know that.
Equally as important for the good of the country, we need to get this wall done. And we're never going to get it done if it's not done now. And so, and I think he realizes that, and I think that's why he's hanging tough. And he has to hang tough. He has to make a, not going to do it. They made it very clear they're not going to do it.
And Lindsey Graham standing up and saying point blank, declare a national, Mr. President. Lindsey Graham has stood strong and tall with this president, and it's good to see. I'm wondering where all the other Republicans are, why they are not supporting this president and calling for the end of this national crisis. The president can resolve this.
Well, he's the only one that can resolve that. They're not going to negotiate.
What about Mitt Romney?
Well, Mitt Romney today basically said he wouldn't support the president's executive decision. He said he wouldn't shut the border down, wouldn't do an executive order. He said that today. So, he's never going to be.
He is Jeff Flake on steroids.
Well, he's worse.
As Senator David Perdue suggested, we didn't need another Jeff Flake on steroids.
He's not going to be there. There's 4 or 5 of them that basically are kind of moderate in the Senate, and so far they're holding them fast. And there's about 8 or 9 House members that are sort of going south on the vote. But the bottom line is the president's the one that's hang tough here.
All right. Ed Rollins, as always.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Up next, our poll. And the question is tonight, do you believe President Trump should declare a national emergency to secure our southern border and impede illegal immigration, drug and sex traffic? Cast your vote on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Follow me on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram at Lou Dobbs tonight. Up next, Kim Jong-un goes to China ahead of an anticipated second summit with President Trump. What's Beijing seeking in these discussions? Asia expert Gordon Chang will take that up and much more here next. But before we go to break, a look at the U.S. national debt. This always clears the mind, doesn't it? As it approaches that $22 trillion level. Speaking of crises, there's another. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Did the little piggy cry wee, wee, wee all the way home?
Yeah?
You're home.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Mrs. A.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
On the border, will Trump's visit end the shutdown or have negotiations hit a wall? Henry Cuellar reacts on Mornings with Maria. Then, holidays by the numbers. How the trade war impacted retail. Matt Shea has smart insight on Barney tomorrow.
Now you pick for $6 at Burger King. Choose either the $6 King Box with a flame-grilled Whopper, fries, a drink, and 2 cookies. Or choose from the 2 for $6 Mix or Match deal. Make your best pick for $6. Only at Burger King.
Here's a question. Was it necessary to create a luxury car more teched out than Silicon Valley? With a cockpit fit for a spaceship. Hang on. Radar that senses things the human eye can't. Busted. Hey, Mom. And the ability to make 1,000 decisions before you even make one. Was all this really necessary? What do you think?
Jardiance asked, when it comes to managing your type 2 diabetes, what matters to you? Step up to the stage here. Feeling good about that? Let's see. Most of you say lower A1C, but only a few of you are thinking about your heart. Fact is, even though it helps to manage A1C, type 2 diabetes still increases your risk of a fatal heart attack or stroke. Jardiance is the first type 2 diabetes pill with a life-saving cardiovascular benefit for adults who have type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Jardiance significantly reduces the risk of dying from a cardiovascular event and lowers A1C with diet and exercise. Let's give it another try.
Jardiance can cause serious side effects, including dehydration. This may cause you to feel dizzy, faint, or lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Ketoacidosis is a serious side effect that may be fatal. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, and trouble breathing. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of ketoacidosis or an allergic reaction. Symptoms of an allergic reaction include rash, swelling, and difficulty breathing or swallowing. Do not take Jardiance if you are on dialysis or have severe kidney problems. Other side effects are sudden kidney problems, genital yeast infections, increased bad cholesterol, and urinary tract infections, which may be serious. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you have any medical conditions.
So, what do you think?
Well, I'm definitely thinking differently than I was yesterday.
Ask your doctor about Jardiance and get to the heart of what matters.
With Expedia, I saved when I added a hotel to our flight. So even when she grows up, she'll never outgrow the memory of our adventure.
Unlock savings when you add select hotels to your existing trip. Only with Expedia.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'll take 2 social security cards, a passport, and a bank account number.
Every year, millions of identities are bought and sold on the dark web.
Thank you. Here you go.
Find out now if your identity has been compromised. Go to Experian and get a free dark web scan. Only at Experian.com/scan.
The peak trading hours demand peak performance. At noon, Neil gives you powerful insight on Cavuto Coast to Coast. Then at 2, Charles's must-see market analysis is on making money. And at 3, Liz is the master of the final hour on Countdown to the closing bell.
South Korea reporting the expected second summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is imminent. That report follows a 2-day visit to Beijing for Kim, in which the Chinese President Xi Jinping said he hoped the United States and North Korea could meet halfway on denuclearization. Think about that. How do you meet halfway on denuclearization? This is the 4th such meeting between Kim and Xi. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo blasting President Obama's weak Middle East foreign policies in Cairo, where Obama famously spoke of a, quote, new beginning for U.S. relations with Muslim and Arab countries back in 2009. Listen to this.
Remember, it was here in this city, that another American stood before you. He told you that radical Islamist terrorism does not stem from an ideology. He told you that 9/11 led my country to abandon its ideals, particularly in the Middle East. He told you that the United States and the Muslim world needed, quote, a new beginning, end of quote. The results of these misjudgments have been dire. The age of self-inflicted American shame is over, and so are the policies that produce so much needless suffering. Now comes the real new beginning.
And joining us now, Gordon Chang, columnist, author of The Coming Collapse of China and The Nuclear Showdown. Great to have you with us, Gordon. First, your response to the strong language from the Secretary of State in Cairo, rebuking and nullifying whatever comments the former president had made that suggested the United States would be anything but strong in the Middle East.
Well, Secretary Pompeo's comments were absolutely needed. What you had was the United States in some terrible policies with regard to Iran. The nuclear agreement of 2015, that was really helpful to the Iranians, not helpful to anybody else. And under this president, we've got a new Iran policy. We've got new Middle East policies, and this is just absolutely necessary.
And what is necessary now with China? We hear, as a result of 3 days of talks with the Chinese, that there is significant progress in the trade discussions, but I can't find the real substance there in terms of resolution of a trade dispute and a balancing of that trade relationship, which, after all, is the purpose of having these talks.
Yeah, the talks in Beijing, I think, largely were procedural because there's going to be a meeting in Davos on the 22nd or 23rd of this month.
That in and of itself is frightening.
Between President Trump and Chinese Vice President Wang Qishan. They talked a little bit about increased purchases of U.S. products, but they didn't really solve what's at core here, and that is theft of U.S. intellectual property, predatory trade practices, and all the rest of that.
Think how frustrated President Trump must be He is having to carry out an education program for our establishment elites about why balanced trade is the appropriate and natural state of international trade, not only between China and the United States, but globally. He is having to educate the elites that a nation should not be permitted to steal $500 billion from us in intellectual property and technology every year. He's having to teach particularly the left and the establishment elites that it's necessary to secure our borders to stop death and destruction and devastation as a result of the illegal traffic of drugs, sex trafficking, and porous borders and human smuggling. I mean, this is the stuff. It's Kafkaesque. It is madness itself.
Yeah, we don't talk about fentanyl. You know, the Chinese have been sending fentanyl into the United States.
Did you hear the progress there? Did you know that Xi Jinping may make that a crime for the Chinese to export fentanyl? Isn't that a major accomplishment? My God, you can't make this up.
Yeah. You know, in a police state like China has, when you have these large gangs that are involved in the manufacture and distribution of fentanyl, comes across our borders, both the northern and southern borders, you know, the Chinese Communist Party is very much involved in it. And some people there are actually making a lot, some people in the government are making a lot of money.
It's an authoritarian government. Even outlaws are under the heels, the boot of the Communist Party, and to pretend otherwise, which is what many of the establishment and globalist elites do, they're functioning effectively as as Vice President Mike Pence said, that many on Wall Street in corporate America are operating as unregistered foreign agents lobbying against this administration's policies, its goals and objectives, its achievements, and in behalf of China itself.
Well, you had that September 16, 2018 meeting in Beijing. You had the Communist Party summoning Wall Street executives to talk about the midterms. I mean, that's just completely unacceptable.
Well, unacceptable, but there are within the White House itself certain globalist elites who are working just as hard quietly, certainly, and with great stealth in most instances, against the president's policies, as are any number of executives and officials of Wall Street or corporate America.
And you've got
certainly K Street.
And you've people in particular in the White House that needs a lot of education. That's called the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, because we cannot allow Wall Street to hijack American national security. We can't allow Wall Street to hijack trade policy. And that's exactly what's happening, because there are a lot of Americans who've been suffering because of really feeble policies in previous administrations.
And against the backdrop of all of this, we're looking at the prospect of a second summit between the president, who has made great progress in his negotiations with Kim Jong-un. But what can be resolved when China has this aggressive and threatening posture throughout, whether it's in commerce or whether it is in international relations? Well,
you have Xi Jinping. He summoned Kim Jong-un to the Chinese capital. At the same time, you had the American trade delegation in Beijing. That really, I think, was a warning to President Trump saying, look, if you don't help me on trade, because China's running out of ammo on the trade dispute, I think what Xi Jinping was saying was, if you don't help me on trade, I'm going to give you a hard time on North Korea. And here I have Kim Jong-un in my capital to prove it.
Yeah, and it is important to all of those who basically want to deny the role of Xi Jinping in the North Korean issue, want to deny how important it is for the Chinese government to steal $600 billion of our intellectual property and technology. They should remember that's all more important to them than running a trade surplus with the United States of a few $100 billion. And that all has to be resolved, and that can't be compromised on. Gordon Chang, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Lou.
Appreciate it. Up next, President Trump on the southern border, part of his continued push to build that wall.
This should have been done 30 years ago. These people do the most incredible job. They're not given a full hand because they need the barriers. Where we have a good, strong barrier, you don't have problems.
Congressman Andy Biggs joins us right after the break with much more. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
We're doing karaoke later, and you're gonna sing.
Jamie, this is your house?
I know, it's not much, but it's home. Right, kids?
Kids.
You didn't tell me your friends were coming?
Oh, yeah.
This one is tiny like a child.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, but seriously, it's good to be surrounded by what matters most. A home and auto bundle from Progressive.
Oh, sweetie, please, play for us.
Oh, no, I couldn't. Okay.
New Alka-Seltzer Plus Power Max Gels. Concentrated power, 25% smaller pill. Max your cold relief with Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Mom and Dad got a new car. It's not theirs, it's mine. Mine. And it always will be forever and ever.
The RX 350L with 3 rows for up to 7 passengers. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
It's Empire Today's biggest sale, the 50-50-50 sale. 50% off carpet and flooring, 50% off padding and materials, and 50% off installation. That's right, half off your entire project. You can save thousands. Empire's 50-50-50 sale won't last long. Don't miss 50% off carpet and flooring, 50% off padding and materials, and 50% off installation.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. Comcast Business built the nation's largest gig speed network, then went beyond chasing down network problems to knowing when and where there's an issue. Beyond network complexity to a zero-touch, one-box world, optimizing performance and budget. Beyond having questions to getting answers. ActiveCore, how's my network?
All sites are green.
All of which helps you do more than your customers thought possible. Comcast Business, beyond fast.
I wanted more from my COPD medicine. That's why I've got the power of 1, 2, 3 medicines in Trelegy.
The only FDA-approved 3-in-1 COPD treatment.
Trelegy, the power of 1, 2, 3. Trelegy, 1, 2, 3. Trelegy.
With Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3, I'm breathing better. Trelegy works 3 ways: to open airways, keep them open, and reduce inflammation for 24 hours of better breathing.
Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Trelegy is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Think your COPD medicine is doing enough? Maybe you should think again. Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3.
Trelegy, 1, 2, 3.
Save at Trelegy.com.
Val, Vern, I'm off to college, and I'm not going to be around. I'm worried about my parents' retirement.
Oh, don't worry.
Voya helps them to and through retirement.
Dealing with today's expenses.
Like college.
While helping plan, invest, and protect for the future.
So they'll be okay? Without me?
When we knock out this wall, imagine the closet's face.
Yes! Oh, hey, son.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Voya, helping you to
and through
retirement.
Mexico bracing for a new caravan of migrants who are set to leave Central America this month with the intent of entering the United States. The head of Mexico's immigration office is meeting with Central American government officials, and they're warning that those entering Mexico illegally this time will be deported. Joining us tonight, Congressman Andy Biggs. He will co-chair the Border Security Caucus for the 116th Congress, along with Brian Babin. And Congressman Biggs also serving on the House Judiciary Committee, the Science, Space, and Technology Committee, a member of the House Freedom Caucus. Congressman, great to have you with us. First, this caravan, another caravan. Perfect, just perfect. What in the world are... And the left continues to deny there's a crisis, that there is any issue here.
Yeah, you know, Lou, they're kind of playing a game of, are you going to believe your lion eyes, or are you going to believe what we tell you? And that's really where they are. And we have this caravan coming again because why? Because they know that this discourse is taking a damning place where we're not making progress, because Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and the Democrats, they refuse to budge on this. and they've basically said, we're not going to fight illegal immigrants on the border. That's what they're saying.
Well, they're saying point blank, the rest of America can go to hell. Their constituency, illegal immigrants. Their constituency, the employers of those who exploit illegal immigrants in this country and have for 30 years. There's no mystery here. They're also blocking the president in fulfilling his last major campaign promise to the voters, which is to build that wall. And they know that if he builds that wall, if he secures that border, he will be an absolute electoral juggernaut in 2020.
Right, exactly right. And so when Lindsey Graham says, if we don't build the wall, this is our last chance to build the wall. If we don't do it,
he's exactly right.
He's exactly right. But the Democrats are playing this on the converse side. They're saying, yeah, we can't afford, they believe they can't afford to let him do it, just like you say, because to do so has a chance to restore the Republicans to credibility, because right now we are shaky on credibility because for 2 years we didn't get this done, and that's too bad. But here we are. We're in this fight, and I'm grateful for President Trump. He's holding strong, and most of my colleagues are as well.
And to that point, are you confident that the conference in the House, which is, by the way, as you suggest, one of the most conflicted conferences in history, and I'm talking about the previous Congress, not this one yet, we'll find out. Do you think they can stand up? Is the leadership within the party more principled than the Speaker and the leadership of the previous Congress?
Well, I certainly hope so. So far, everything Kevin McCarthy is. Yeah. You know, hey, look,
I love your candor,
I'm an optimist,
Congressman.
okay?
I absolutely do.
Yeah, me too. Kevin has said the right things. He's been there. I think he's committed. I know he introduced a bill like I did to build the wall and fund the wall. So I think Kevin is there on the policy. And I think for the most part, we lost 8 people to a vote yesterday. But I think that's probably the extent of the people who are weakening. I think,
and in 2 votes today, 10, and in another 12 who crossed over with those three bills with 4 to go. I haven't checked to see if there's been another vote, but that's not significant at this point. Would you agree?
I'd agree with that. I think we still have the high ground. I think let's just be honest. The optic that's gone on this week is in favor of the Republicans and President Trump. He is just. He's played this masterfully, and not that he's playing a game, but that he understands how you negotiate with people who don't want to negotiate. Sometimes you got to walk away. Sometimes you walk away from people who don't want to have a good faith negotiation. And so I think
when you're dealing with national security, Congressman, if I may, I hope you would agree with me. Sometimes you don't negotiate at all, because what is at stake here, as you know better than almost anyone on Capitol Hill, is the sovereignty of the nation and the security of that border. And without it, as the president reminds all Americans all the time, without those borders, we are not a nation.
He's exactly right. And I think that most of my colleagues are right there and willing to go the distance. And so I've been real pleased with the effort of the leadership on this issue, as well as my colleagues. Now, there's some that are a little bit softer. I don't understand why, because for me, this is really the keynote issue of our time. It really is.
Will you unequivocally support the president if he chooses to declare a national emergency on that border?
Yes. I've studied it. I went through, read the statutes again.
Will your colleagues?
Oh, well, that's where it gets a little dicey. I would hope so. Because
well, I would too, but I'd like to have more reassurance that I hope so.
Yeah,
but you're being straightforward, and I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I'm going to always tell you the truth the way I see it. And I think a significant majority would be willing to stand and fight. But if he declared, I think the president wants to. We all want to get to a legislative solution. If the other side's not going to negotiate,
I got to be honest, we got to solve it. I don't think we got time for a legislative solution. I've seen what Republicans do. I'm a little tired of their efforts, to be candid with you.
I don't think it's going to happen, Lou. I think it's going to be an emergency.
Well, I think so too. Congressman, appreciate it. Congressman Andy Biggs, good to see you.
Good to see you.
A reminder to vote in tonight's poll. Do you believe President Trump should declare a national emergency to secure our southern border and thereby impede illegal immigration, drug and sex trafficking? Cast your vote on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Up next here, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell takes a market-friendly tone on interest rate hikes. We'll have that, as well as the president's continued efforts to get that wall built. Jason Chaffetz joins me next. Stay with us.
This program is brought to you by Acura, precision crafted performance.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Come on, come on. What's my name? What's my name? What's my name?
Tired of waiting for it to kick in? For a rapid boost in nitric oxide, choose Ageless Male tonight.
Has the king gone crazy? He's offering 10 crispy, juicy white meat chicken nuggets for just $1. Yep, the king's lost his marbles. 10 nuggets for $1, only at Burger King.
My experience with USA Air has been excellent. They really appreciate the military family, and it really shows.
With all that USAA offers, why go with anybody else? We know their rates are good. We know that they're always going to take care of us.
It was an instant savings, and I should have changed a long time ago.
It was funny because when we would call another insurance company, they would say, oh, we can't be USAA.
We're the Weber family.
We're the Tennies.
We're the Hells, and we're USAA members for life.
Get your USAA auto insurance quote today.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Travis Stork, and if you've ever seen me on television, you already know my passion is helping people live longer, healthier lives. Did you know that 1 out of 3 Americans suffers from high blood pressure? And the older you get, the greater the risk. So I was excited when I came across the Zona Plus. It's a drug-free, software-controlled handheld device which uses the proven science of isometric therapy to help lower blood pressure naturally.
As a physician who's experienced great results with the Zona Plus, I would not hesitate to recommend it to anyone.
I've been using it now for about 1.5 years, and I absolutely love it.
If you've been recently diagnosed with high blood pressure, or you've been dealing with it for years, you could benefit from adding the Zona Plus to your treatment plan.
And with the company's fantastic 90-day money-back guarantee, backed by a full refund of the purchase price, there's no risk. You have everything to gain by giving Zona Plus a try for 90 days. Call now at 800-311-6740 or visit us online at tryzona.com.
Over the past decade, Dr. Smith has helped regular investors add millions to their savings by helping identify the optimal time to buy and sell any investment. And now, he's put together a free report which explains how you can figure out the exact best day to sell every stock you own. This could potentially help put tens of thousands of extra dollars in your accounts over the next few years. For more information on how Dr. Smith and his algorithm, which today tracks $15 billion in global assets, can help pinpoint the exact day to sell your stocks, visit the website on your screen or text REPORT to 246810. Here, you can pick up a free copy of Dr. Smith's new report. Again, this report is 100% free of charge and could make a big difference in your finances over the next few years.
On Wall Street, stocks closing higher for a 5th straight session. The Dow and the S&P are now out of correction territory. The Dow today gaining 123 points, the S&P up 12, the Nasdaq up 29. Volume on the big board dropping a bit to 3.7 billion shares. The market's gaining $1.7 trillion over the past 5 trading days, as measured by the Wilshire 5000. Crude oil closing relatively flat, just over $52 a barrel. Gold also flat. Silver and copper down nearly 1%. A reminder to listen to my reports 3 times a day, coast to coast on the Salem Radio Network. Joining us tonight, Jason Chaffetz, former Republican congressman from Utah, business contributor and author of the terrific book, The Deep State. Great to have you with us. Let's, look at that market taking off despite everything. They saw on Wall Street is that the market hates uncertainty. I can't I can't imagine much more uncertainty unless we were absolutely involved in a war or something of that order. This market seems to be inspired by tension and uncertainty and some level of conflict, whether it be economic or political.
Well, I think the market also understands that it's only about 6 or 7% of the government that's actually closed. Remember, 75% of the government is automatic programmatic spending. Of the remaining 25%, 75% of that continues to be open. And the normal pinch points on a wall and a shutdown are usually with veterans, DOD, military pay. And again, all of that is flowing as well.
Does it look to you as though the president let's deal first with the government shutdown. Does it look to you as though the president is going to have to leave the government shutdown, this partial shutdown go on for some time in order to prevail against an absolute intractable Democratic leadership?
No, I hope he continues the daily drumbeat because he's on the right side of the issue. It's stunning to me how the Democrats have moved from a position that they used to hold in terms of border security. I think America sees the hypocrisy of it. Pelosi and Schumer have painted themselves into a corner. Mm-hmm. The president's on the side of the Border Patrol. He's on the side of the federal workers. And
he's on the side of the American people. I mean, first and foremost.
That's right. And I don't want to see... And I don't want to see a distraction with declaring a national emergency. Now, again, I think he's justified. I think he has the legal apparatus in order to do it. He may do that sooner rather than later. But I think he just needs to continue to make the case to the American people. And every time a Democrat says, oh, well, I can beat that wall with a ladder, then say, well, go ahead. Let's see you do it. Let's actually see you. Let's see one member of the House or Senate actually scale that wall with a ladder. I dare him.
I'd like to see them trying to climb up 30 feet. And I would also like to be in charge of what would be along the top of that barrier when they go up there. Yeah. But in all seriousness here, you said that you would prefer, you implied at least you would prefer he not declare a national emergency. I think it's the only way forward here. Otherwise, there's not going to be a solution. There's no sense protracting this any longer than necessary. And when he declares a national emergency, it's within his power to actually get that wall constructed. And by the way, when you say national emergency here, remember, President Obama declared national emergencies 12 times for everything from, Somalia to swine flu, for crying out loud.
Look, the case is stronger to actually do it. I think the president has the legal impetus to do it. But when things continue to get tougher and tougher, you saw the congressman from Minnesota who's in charge of the Agricultural Committee saying he's getting about 75 calls to his office in favor of the wall and only 5 or 6 in opposition to the wall. Those Democrats need to continue to hear that in order to actually win this debate. And I think coming up until at the end of the month, I think it's the 29th of January, the State of the Union, Democrats are going to want to have this closed up because they're not going to want to sit there for an hour and a half or 2 hours and listen to the president address the nation and make the case again for the wall.
The president has the ability to do this. I don't think there shouldn't be too much legal question. That doesn't mean that the Democrats won't challenge and try to obstruct as they have throughout his presidency. But I really believe that the way forward here is for him to declare a national emergency and simply sweep aside the recalcitrant left in this country. They have obstructed, resisted, and subverted for far too long. The American people don't need to put up with this, and the president needs to find a way forward here where he can deliver on this promise in advance of the 2020 presidential election, because that means he will have fulfilled all of his major promises to the American people from the 2016 election. I think it's critically important.
I think the president will prevail. If he does it tonight or tomorrow or whatever it is, I will wholeheartedly support him. I do think they need to continue the daily drumbeat and make the case rather than have everybody say, oh, well, it's tied up in the courts and, in the coming months, we'll go ahead and see what happens. I don't want to give the Democrats that excuse. I want them to daily be able to tell the American people they are not in favor of border security. And if Nancy Pelosi thinks that wall is so immoral, then introduce a bill to get rid of the 600 miles of border wall that we currently have. They won't do that because it's just totally irresponsible.
Well, irresponsible is a perfectly good modifier for radical Dems. Jason Chaffetz, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Up next, President Trump looks to protect our borders and the American people, bypassing the obstructionist Dems. We'll have much more on that right after the break. Stay with us.
I'm Ken Jacobus, and I switched to the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. I earn unlimited 2% cash back on everything I buy. And last year, I earned $36,000 in cash back, which I used to offer health insurance to my employees. What's in your wallet?
I can do more to lower my A1C.
Because my body can still make its own insulin.
And I take Trulicity once a week to activate my body to release it, like it's supposed to. Trulicity is not insulin. It comes in a once-weekly, truly easy-to-use pen, and it works 24/7.
Trulicity is an addition to improve blood sugar in adults with type 2 diabetes when used with diet and exercise. Don't use it as the first medicine to treat diabetes or if you have type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Don't take Trulicity if you or your family have medullary thyroid cancer, you're allergic to Trulicity, or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of a serious allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, or severe stomach pain. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with a sulfonylurea or insulin increases your low blood sugar risk. Common side effects include nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and decreased appetite. These can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
To help lower my A1C, I choose Trulicity to activate my within.
Ask your doctor about once-weekly Trulicity.
When my doctor put me on a cholesterol-lowering statin drug, I knew I should take CoQ10 with it. I take Cunol CoQ10. Why? Because Cunol has 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10. Cunol, the better CoQ10.
Each day, Justin chooses to walk. At work and after work. He does it all with Dr. Scholl's. Only Dr. Scholl's has massaging gel insoles that provide all-day comfort to keep him feeling more energized. Dr. Scholl's, born to move.
In just days, you could win the Publishers Clearinghouse $5,000 a week forever prize. Merch, $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. Hurry, enter at PCH.com, and February 28th, win forever.
Can we talk? We used to play so beautifully together. Now we can barely play anything, even cards with the girls.
If you have bent fingers and can't put your hand flat, talk to your doctor. It may be Dupuytren's contracture.
Isn't it time to do something about this?
Your hand is talking. Isn't it time you speak to a doctor? Learn more about Dupuytren's contracture at factsonhand.com. More information is within reach.
The job boards I used to use delivered tons of the wrong resumes. Those sites were, well, not smart. Then there's Smart. ZipRecruiter helps me find people with the right skills, education, and experience for my job, then actively invites them to apply. So I get qualified candidates fast. No wonder ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/degree.
Great news. Liberty Mutual customized.
I deliver the news around here. Sources say Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Over to you, Logo.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Last night in our poll question, we asked whether you believe President Trump should insist on securing the border before any talks of amnesty can begin. 95% of you said yes. Well, here's where we are tonight, what we're looking at tomorrow. President Trump on the southern border today in McAllen, Texas, telling Fox's Sean Hannity that Democrats believe border security is about politics, not security.
So it's not a money thing, it's a political thing. They look at the 2020 race and they're not feeling too good about it. They'll do whatever they can to win.
And Dems in the House of Representatives continue to resist, to subvert, scheduling votes tomorrow on their final standalone spending bill to fund the Department of Interior and the Environmental Protection Agency. If you're wondering, none of those bills will be taken up by the U.S. Senate. That's it for us tonight, and we thank you for being with us. The Executive Director of Frontier Services Group, Eric Prince, former Trump campaign aide David Bossie, and GOP Nevada Chair Amy Tarkanian, Pastor Robert Jeffress among our guests. Please join us. Good night from New York.